Hello grade 10s. Today we're going to start with tariff systems. So it's still on topic 3 finance and we're doing chapter 2 tariff systems. So this will be on page 148. Okay, if you want to follow along. So I just gave a small definition and I have put this in the PowerPoint as well. So a tariff is basically a list or a schedule of predetermined prices for services like trains, buses and electrical usage. Okay, so I've got some examples here so that you guys can see what I'm speaking about. This, for instance, or let's start with the one that you're most familiar with. So I'm sure you guys have all seen these toll gate boards. So they're saying it's 37 Rand per car. Okay, then buses and small trucks are 80 Rand each. Then trucks, bigger buses and bigger trucks are 121 Rand each. Okay, and then as you go up, it goes up in price. Okay, so if I ask you how much would 3 small cars cost, then you would say 3 times 37. Okay, this on the other hand is water usage. Okay, so this is the tariff used for water usage. So if you use between 0 kiloliters and 9 kiloliters, then they'll charge you 9 Rand 50 per kiloliter. Okay, if you use 9 kiloliters to 25 kiloliters, then you would pay 11 Rand and 22 cents per kiloliter. So if I say to you, you used, let's say 20 kiloliters this month of water, and how much would you pay? Okay, so then you go check 20 kiloliters is not between 0 and 9, it's between 9 and 25, so you would pay 11 Rand 22 cents per kiloliter. So then you take the amount of kiloliters you use, so you use 20 and you would times it by that price. Okay, because it's per kiloliter, so we have to get for 20 kiloliters, and then you would find out how much you would pay that month. Okay, this one is electricity usage. Okay, and with electricity they usually work in blocks. Okay, so it depends on how many kilowatts per hour you use of electricity. So block 1, if you fall under block 1, it means that you use between 0 and 150 kilowatts per hour that month. Okay, then you would pay 129 Rand and 5 cents per kilowatt per hour. Okay, if you fall into block 2, that means that you used 150.1 to 350 kilowatts per hour, and you'd pay 134 Rand, 65 cents per kilowatt per hour. Okay, so for instance, if I tell you that you used 500 kilowatts per hour, how much would you pay? Okay, so then you go and see what block do you fall under. So we can see that 500 would fall in between 350,1 and 600. So then you would fall under block 3. So you would work out, because it's 134 Rand and 65 cents per kilowatt per hour, you would times that by how many you used. Okay, because you used 500 kilowatts per hour and each one costs 104 Rand and 65 cents. Okay, with this one, this is transport as well. So these are different routes that people use with transport. So this one went from Gardens to Civic Centre to Waterfront. If you wanted to go from Big Bay to Tableview to Parklands East, that would cost you 5 Rand 30. If you wanted to go from Tableview to Civic Centre, it would cost you 10 Rand 60. Children under 1 meter tall and under 4 years old are free for all routes. Okay, so those are just some examples of tariff systems, and I'm going to do some examples with you guys now. The first thing we have to do is how to work out the cost. So I did include a summary of this in your slides as well. Okay, because there's 2 types of costs. So first there will be a tariff with a monthly fee, a monthly rental fee, and then also a cost per unit used. Okay, so I think you guys would have seen that in the previous lesson with the personal documents of the telephone. We had to pay a rental and then we had to pay usage. Okay, so that's basically what it is. So this monthly rental fee is every single month you get charged a certain amount of rent, and then they work out how much your cost per unit was. Then the second one is where you only have cost per unit. Okay, so they only charge you at a rate like 20 Rand per minute, or those kind of things. So if we've got our equations, so our cost will equal the rental fee plus your cost per unit times units used. Okay, so in here is our rate. So if I said it's 20 Rand per unit, okay, or 20 Rand per kilowatt per hour, 20 Rand per minute, this is the rate that you would work out, and then we add the monthly rental fee because we still have to pay that. So if we do this in a simplified version, it will be your rental fee, then your cost per unit times N, so the units that you used. Okay, so if N was our units that we used. Okay, if we only had the cost per unit, then our cost would be cost per unit times units used. Okay, so without the rental fee, so we don't need to add that rental fee anymore because we don't have that rental fee. So then this would, in other words, be cost per unit times N. So where N represents the units that we used. So if you don't understand this, don't freak out just yet. Let's do some examples, and then if you still have a problem, then I'll help you. Okay, so let's do some examples. So Fiso has a basic cell phone contract that costs him 100 Rand per month. Okay, so that 100 Rand per month is our monthly fee, plus 1.70 Rand per minute for calls during peak time. Okay, so he's got a monthly rental fee of 100 Rand, so he has to pay that every month, regardless of how many calls he makes. Then on the top of that, he has to pay 170 Rand per minute for calls. So for every minute that he calls, he has to pay 170 Rand. Now his sister Simpiwe has a pay-as-you-go contract. So basically this means with no monthly rental fee. So you just pay per minute. So she pays 2 Rand 25 cents per minute for a peak time call. So her rate per minute is higher than Sifiso's. Okay? But Sifiso has to pay 100 Rand per month. Okay. So they say calculate the respective cost totals if they make 340 minutes worth of calls in a month. Okay, so we look. Let's do Sifiso first. Okay. So because he's got a monthly rental fee, so we use this equation. Oh, I didn't put a plus there. So it's the rental fee plus cost per unit. Okay, let's separate this, I've got enough space, times N. Okay, so my rental fee, alright, is 100 Rand per month. So I put that down. So 100 Rand, so no matter how many calls he makes, he still has to pay that 100 Rand. So we say 100 Rand plus, then we work out our rate. So he gets charged 1.70 Rand per minute. But he made 340 minutes worth of calls. So because each minute costs R1.70, we have to times it by 340 minutes because that was charged 340 times. So we go R1.70 times 340. Okay, and if you put this into your calculator, then you will get 678 Rand. Okay, so he has to pay, if he makes 340 minutes that month, then he has to pay 678 Rand for his telephone bill. Okay, if we take Simpiwe, okay, and she has a pay-as-you-go with no monthly rental fee, so we just have cost per unit times the amount of units used. So cost per unit, we have R2.25 per minute, so that's R2.25 times 340 minutes. Okay, so now if we work that out in your calculator, then you'll get 765 Rand. Okay, so who in the end paid more? It was Simpiwe. Okay, now if we have 100, so calculate the respective cost totals if they each only make 100 minutes worth of calls in a month. Now let's see how much they make. So if we do Sifiso, it's a rental fee plus cost per unit times N. So we've got the 100 Rand rental fee, and now he's made 100 minutes times R1.70. Okay, and if we work that out, then we get 270 Rand. So he only has to pay 270 Rand. Simpiwe, without the rental fee, so she pays 225 cents per minute, and we had 100 minutes. So if we work this out, we will get 225 Rand. So Sifiso pays more in this case. So in this case, when we had more minutes, then Simpiwe paid more. In this case, when we had less minutes, then Sifiso paid more. Okay, then they asked, based on the previous calculations, under which circumstances is Sifiso's account cheaper, and under which circumstances is Simpiwe's account cheaper. So here you would just say that Sifiso's type of account is cheaper if you make a lot of calls, and then Simpiwe's contract is cheaper if you're only going to make a few calls. Okay, let's do another 2 examples. So example 2, the Pillay household pays a basic rental of 116 Rand and 93 cents for the ADSL landline. So that is a telephone in your house. So all peak time calls are charged at 43 cents per minute, and off-peak calls are charged at 23 cents per minute. Okay, last month they logged 105 off-peak time minutes and 200 peak time minutes. Calculate the total cost of their bill before tax. Okay, so they've got peak time calls and they've got off-peak time calls. So peak time calls are 43 cents per minute, and off-peak calls are 93 cents per minute. Then they logged 105 off-peak minutes, and they logged 200 peak time minutes. Okay, so now we have to add them together. So they made, let's do peak time calls. So they made 200 peak time calls, and my rate is 43 cents per minute. So if they had 200 minutes, we have to times that by 43 to get the price. So we go 200 times 43. Okay, this is for peak time. Okay, and you would work out your price, which would be I did not actually see this. So remember, it says pays a basic rental. So she's got a rental fee of 116 Rand and 93 cents. So we're going to do this all in one go. So we've got cost is equal to, so I need my rental fee, so 116 Rand and 93 cents plus. Now we've got two rates, we've got peak time and we've got off-peak time. So the peak time, we say 200 times 43 to get the cents. Let's do 0.43 because it's in cents and not we want it in rands, okay, because we're working with rands here. So we put it 0.43 because it's 43 cents. All right. Then we have to add the off-peak time calls. So it was 23 cents and we did 105 of them minutes. So 105 times 0.23 because it's 23 cents. Now if we work this all out together, that will give me 227 Rand and 8 cents. So they have to pay 227 Rand and 8 cents for their bill. Okay. Example 3, the Moritz family buys prepaid electricity worth 500 Rand every month. The price per unit charged by their local municipality is 53 cents per unit. If they use 45 units per day, how long will this prepaid electricity last them? Okay, so first we have to work out how many units they have. Okay, so if they paid 500 Rand, how many units can they get? So if we have our formula, we've got cost is equal to N times cost per unit. Okay, they've paid 500 Rand, so how many units can they get? So N is what we're looking for, and we know the cost per unit is 53 cents. Okay, so now we work out N, so we say, because I've times by 0.53, I divide 500 by 0.53, and I get 943, not rands, comma 3. Okay, so now we can work out how long the electricity will last. Okay, so this is the amount of units they can afford with 500 Rand. So now if they use 45 units per day, now we have to work out how many days they can use. So if they've got 943,3 and every day they use 45, if we divide them, then we can get 20,96 days. And remember, you can't have a fraction of a day, so we will say they'll have 20 days worth of prepaid electricity. Okay, please do exercise 2 for me and let me know if you need any help.